Jai Hind, viewers. We welcome you back to another episode of Expert Opinion. And today we are looking at a totally new emerging technology, that is the use of digital twins to decide on major system choices. We have with us a very eminent and a very knowledgeable personality, Mr. Pradeep Gupta. He is a technocrat and ex-bureaucrat. He left the government of India to set up his think tank, Security and Policy Initiatives, to work for absorption of defense TOTs and improvement of border management. He is also mentoring startups in AI, VR, AR. He is ex-OSD indigenization MOD, ex-Joint Secretary MHA, ex-PS2 President, and ex-OSD and PS to Defense Minister. It's wonderful to have you back with us, Mr. Gupta. And viewers, he's a member of our MRO Digest forums, and he's contributed a very large number of videos. You may like to see them also. They will be available on our channel. So, Mr. Gupta, just a few days back, I came across a very interesting article. And the moment I saw that article, I thought of you. And the reason I thought of you was that you have been talking about this in your various talks, and you have been propagating it. So I brought this article on the screen, and it is from Defense One. And it is saying here that the Army picks two finalists to replace Bradley. The two competitors will now turn their digital design into prototypes. Now, the thing is, this is very interesting that it is stated here in this article that this particular system, like over here, it states here, this particular system is the first Army vehicle to be first designed digitally before the creation of a real world prototype. Viewers, the link to this article is there in the show notes, so you are welcome to go to that. And now, this is the issue which I wanted to take the opinion of our expert, Mr. Pradeep Gupta. I know it's an emerging area, so it's not, it's something which you may also be looking at and still in the process of picking up more threads. But with what knowledge you already have and the study which you have done in this area, maybe have your views on what do you feel about this development. Mr. Gupta, please.
Thank you, General Mataru, for giving me this opportunity to speak on a topic which is, I would say, very relevant and very important and critical for our defense, upcoming defense production ecosystem. It is way back in 2017-18 when I first came across this, or maybe second half of 18. I remember the paper wherein the Eurocopter of the US, they had tasked their team to do a virtual design of a new helicopter, which they were coming up. Usually the helicopter takes up the 8 years from the day the designers sit together, users, and they conceptualize something in discussions. And then from that day till the actual helicopter is produced in bulk, it is 7 to 8 years. And the team was tasked that this is too much of time and we cannot spare this because in cutthroat competition, we have to come up. So then they were, because the technologies were available earlier, before I would say 2014-15, these technologies were not available. The virtual reality, augmented reality, AI, whatever we see in the present form, certainly these were not there available. So we couldn't have thought of it. But when the two tools are there available, we can apply the interdisciplinary approach and visualize things. So the Eurocopter team sat together and they virtually designed a helicopter. Meanwhile, the COVID happened and we lost track of it. And possibly they must have designed and come up with the thing, and the helicopter must be on the production lines. I was very happy when you apprised me about this particular article of Bradley. I went into it and I was been very enlightened with the detailed in which this the article states about the how they went about the designing of the Bradley, wherein they tried several different features of the vehicle. They also tried for the smaller crews, the more automation, and like this they did all the experimentation virtually. And before that, the U.S. Army had burnt its fingers in 2 attempts in changing the Bradley design to what they call it optionally manned fighting vehicle, OMFV. So on date it is manned, but in future times to come they are thinking that it should be unmanned also. So the automation, everything is in a progressive stage. Maybe Mark 1 today is in this stage, Mark 2 will be in totally unmanned. So when they were conceptualizing this thing, the Rheinmetall was and the General Dynamics was there, one of the bidders. The Rheinmetall, which was the selected candidate, they have stated in the article that due to bureaucratic delays, I was a little surprised to see that bureaucracy also plays the role there. The bureaucratic delays did not allow the designed vehicle to be shipped from Germany to US for trials, and then they had to abort that trial. Then subsequently, they again floated the bid, and the General Dynamics got, but then it was sole bidder. So because sole bidder, they did not progress it further. Now, then they gave the bidding a chance to General Dynamics, Rheinmetall, Oshkosh Technologies, total 5 firms to come up with the digital design. In the bidding itself was that digital design. So the firms had to produce the digital design to the US Army. Then US Army evaluated those designs and had identified 2 bidders. Normally, usually 1 is selected, but then they have selected 2. And this is also a learning process for us also, that because actually physically the system is not there, but only virtually it is there. So they did not put all their eggs in one basket. The General Dynamics and Rheinmetall America, that is American Rheinmetall company, they are the 2 selected bidders who are going ahead this prototype. Total of 11 prototypes they will be making, and it will be tried in various forums. And 2024, up till 2024 or so, they will be developing this prototype based on this award of the contract. And then the prototype will be put to test. And then fine-tuning and changes in the design, etc. will be done. And by 2027, the bulk production will start and it will be inducted. So this is where, in that the article, somewhere it is written, I was little, surprised that it will be high-end thing and having several features which are unique to the US system, the technologies. And this equipment will be exportable, but then it qualifies that when exported, it will be stripped of all these high-end things. So whichever country receives that, even for the allied countries of the US, they will not allow these key technologies to go out. Once very clearly the article says that it has the system of managing their presence, mean the signature management, as well as active protection. Active protection is very important, where the missiles or some projectile is coming toward the tank, it will have the ability to bypass that, or maybe change the course of that thing. That is one. Secondly, for the signature management is that they will have the technologies that the tank cannot be detected by even the satellite or drone or any other say equipment up in the sky or otherwise. It has a hybrid engine wherein they have stated that when the engine is the tank, the AFV is in idle state, it will generate no noise, no heat, though the engine is running. So this is all the trials they have done, and obviously it must have been a good exercise for the two companies, or rather five companies which have bid it in that particular contract. To the companies which have got, now they are up in the manufacturing process. So this is where I felt I had been telling all throughout that virtual design or the digital twin is basically based on simulation, and it's a very low hanging fruit for us. A lot of equipments are there where the users, the armed forces or the producers, the various defense production entities, and the designers also, and of course the academia is part of the designers team. Nobody is fully aware that what the product shape will happen. So this is one right way to create the system virtually, which can be done in 1 year's time or maybe 1.5 years time. But certainly we need domain experts, and domain experts will put their knowledge, and the technical engineers and the designers will come up with their designs and do a perfect simulation. There are a lot of softwares available. There are a lot of techniques available nowadays. Earlier it was not there. So that's why I'm telling that it's a data development for maybe 7-8 years, and now it is becoming popular and honed also. So once the virtual design of any equipment is clear, the user also can try it virtually in simulated environments of battlefield, or in even in desert, or in cold climate, that how it is performing. The impact of those rough terrain or the extreme climates will be certainly be visible in the results of the trial done virtually. Then you can make the modification in the metallurgy or in other aspects, or in the power of the engine, because there are certain standard products available taken. So you need not do 100% research, because those are readily available in the market that can suit you. There are certain things wherein, like the US has done, they have used the hybrid engine, they have used the signature management techniques, active protection. Now, so many other things are there. So those things can be worked on, and the research groups can work on those things. Certainly, when you do, I was impressed with the thing that it is Mark 1, Mark 2, means they are not thinking of perfection from right day one. So something certainly of minimum capability will come up. They'll call it Mark 1, and when it is put to trial or performance, they'll come up with the better improvements in the Mark 2 thing. So it has what I could see in the Bradley, that it has 50 gun turret, special launchers to fire ATG weapons, and hybrid transmission, as I had already told you. Cutting edge sensors, they have very agile software, and what they told that it is a precursor to the futuristic unmanned this fighting armored fighting vehicle. What they are thinking, future warfare may go in that direction. So this is where they have traveled the journey, and certainly the two failed attempts of the US Army in getting the replacement for Bradley had made them wise, and come to adopt this new technique of digital twin. So the learning had not been like that, just at a drop of a hat it happened. It was over a period of time. Two attempts they failed, and then thereafter the technology was also evolving. So they tasked the bidders to come up with a digital twin. This can be very handy for us also. We can, like we are thinking of FRCB or FICB or maybe light tank, and ask the bidders to come up with some format of the digital twin design, and give it to the users, so users know. And the loss also will not be much in case the digital design or digital twin is not approved by the user. Here's I've outlined tentative steps on the use of using digital twin technology, because a lot of people will be thinking, what is this digital twin, and how we'll be visualizing an armored fighting vehicle. So this is where I'll be outlining each and every step what I have written here in the screen. First is the data collection. It is the collecting information and the specification of the various parts of the AFB, which include the dimensions, weight, armor, mobility systems, engine, etc. So it's a Herculean exercise which certainly we have to do. The team can take up this. The relevant team or relevant experts can come up with the data collection of that particular equipment. Then once the data is there, we have to create a 3D model, which is of the armored fighting vehicle, which is certainly there are a lot of tools available, computer-aided design software, and this model will accurately represent the physical attributes. So here the knowledge of the team will very handy to ensure that each and every part of the 3D design represent exactly what are the features, and also it not only external but internal also, the compartment, the chambers, the ammunition chambers, everything will be done separately and of course the comprehensively. Once this is done, then we have to create a virtual reality environment setup, which is basically using specialized virtual reality tools and the this motion controllers. And this is where the designers can or the whoever are the even the users can, if they understand the technical aspect, they can immerse themselves in the virtual environment and see the system for themselves. So this is the starting of the basically virtual reality system. Then we have the design. This is design review and collaboration. This is a very important step wherein we have to call all the stakeholders. As you know, there are producers, there are even steel metallurgy experts, there are engine experts, there are users, producers. So the entire team will get together and will review the design of the whatever has emerged out of the VR environment setup and the 3D model created based on the this thing, and then the modifications etc. are discussed. Once the real-time feedback has to be incorporated in the design and the modifications done, something will come up. Then we have to do the functional testing. Here the simulation testing of the various parts of the AFB will be done, and of course the comprehensively the whole AFB will be tested. So the this will involve certainly the vehicle's capabilities such as maneuverability, armor protection, weapon system effectiveness, and crew ergonomics. So VR tool also will provide us the realistic simulations. So the more the efforts go into the simulation, the better the results we will get in the this functional testing of the equipment what we have created, and we will come to know several aspects that where we have to do modification or we have to accept it like that. Then the economics and human factors are also very important, that we have to pay attention to the human factor in the design using the VR tool, that the crew's experience, convenience, etc. Because that is very important. Those are the people who will be managing it. In the like Bradley, they have normally the AFB had a crew of say 3 or 4. They have minimized because they have kept a lot of automation to 2 crew. So that is where the entire 2 persons will be manning this particular equipment, and how they will doing that has been digitally simulated. So once that is then the all the potential issues also will be evident before us to go ahead. Then after this thing is the iterative design process, that we can take up the process of feedback received from the user, that what further changes we have to make in the 3D model, and some insights is already gained in it because experimentations are being done in the process. And then we'll be making a visualization presentation using the only immersive technologies. Till now, physically the system has not been created, and once the presentation is to realistic visualization is there of the ALP design, the users or stakeholders and the military officials can finally decide that what is going to be the shape of the system. Once that is there, then the cost and manufacturing issues will come, and the costing also is a major issue. Say whatever has been decided is very costly. So another round of experimentation will be done, changes will be made. You can replace certain components by lesser costly system. So this is all the experimentation is being done, and then you can come for the ready for the analysis, physical prototyping, and then testing. So this is where the digital design is transferred to the basically making prototype, which is still not the bulk production, but in restricted manner, the equipment will be made and then taken up for testing. Though the testing has been simulated earlier, so ultimately what will happen in this whatever you do, what the US has done in 2 years time, they have enhanced the capability, lot of efforts which otherwise they would have to make in physically making those components and then trying and then again replacing everything. So we can enhance our capability by telescoping through this virtual reality and simulation tools and other approach. I would also like to further add on this that the lot of calculations will be required, like computational fluid dynamics and other aspects are involved in it. So this is one my suggestion I have given. It's a very raw form of presentation, but nevertheless, just to develop interest of the viewers, I have outlined this particular thing. It is a technique wherein I feel we can work. Lot of substantive work has to be done. We have to get domain experts. This is area where MRO digests because the officers of MRO function in the armed forces are the, as I have seen it, they are the first persons who have seen the equipment inside out. So they can share their ideas and get help developing the 3D models, etc.
So that's I must compliment you. You have brought everything into one slide, and with all this, since you have mentioned 2017, 18 onwards, you have been studying this, you have been proposing this. So you obviously have looked at it, and it's coming out in the way you have given these details. Your slide, I am looking at the way you are projecting it, and I am now looking at what are the steps which are involved in doing this. Surprisingly, I'm not finding any place where we cannot do it in India. And otherwise, I don't see. We have the brains here. And when it comes to the aspect of looking at design, it is not, it's not something new you are designing. It is something which has been around since the end of the First World War. Tank design has been looked at in great detail. And as far as the mathematics involved is concerned, it is known to us. Now, what was the earlier issue was that we did not have the computing power to do all this quickly. Now we have. So, and the best part is the mathematics will not keep changing. It will be there. So once you've fed it in, then it will keep on doing, just like any coding which we do. When we write a program which is very complex, which has got billions of lines, even the person who has written that doesn't know what is there in it. So now suddenly you ask that person or a team of people after 10 years, you tell us what you did, they'll not be able to tell you. But the thing doesn't break down. So the thing is, you have the best brains. We have the best brains. Like you use this term team. So this is a team. And the best part is we have got every component of this team right here in our country. We don't have to go anywhere at all. In fact, maybe in some areas we are better off than many other countries. So time is with us. I mentioned I did this repowering, so we did retrofitting of an engine. So I know what goes into such a development, though it was one type. I was also, I've seen simulation. Simulation I've been closely involved in simulation. So when you look at a simulator, let's say, now normally we know about aircraft simulators, isn't it? But when you look at, let's say, a simulator for a tank, right? So the simulator, let's say it's a simulator, a simple thing like a driving simulator, looks so simple, isn't it? But it is not simple. The reason it is not simple, the response to controls and the interaction with the terrain has to be simulated. But we have been able to do it in our country.
Yes.
I'm aware of that. So if we have been able to do that, we know how the equipment will behave in different terrains. That can be leveraged into a virtual trial, which you mentioned. So you see, the thing, I am just ticking box by box, and I'm not able to identify a single box where we have to go out of the country, or where we say this thing not available. So we have this both in the public sector, in the government sector, and in the private sector. We have simulation companies which will be able to tell you how an equipment, based on its weight, based on its tracks, how it will behave in a particular terrain to a pretty good level, right, for a virtual trial. So it's all available. And within our forum, this last 1 year, I have realized the amount of knowledge which we have. It's amazing the number of people who are here who are experts, like you mentioned. And I'm sure our forum is a small group, but if you look at larger in the country, the resources are huge. You will be able to create a team of the most brightest people in our country to come together and to develop a virtual thing. So what I feel is, from what you have said and from what is happening, is that we need to firstly put together one team, which we can say it is something like virtual world development team. And in that team, what you need to do is you need to do design, development, simulated trial, and acceptance of a digital design. Now let's look at the digital design for a minute. I am trained in military vehicle technology and master's level, so I know what I'm talking about. At least that is my expertise, so I know how a tank gets designed. So if you really look at a tank, there are two main issues which will come in. Number one is the platform itself.
Yes.
So actually, the platform is the key. So if the platform is able to operate with a particular weight category in various terrains, then you know that a lot of it, I just mentioned driving simulator, so a lot of it can be done. And when we come to the design of a platform, it essentially devolves to an engine which fits into a particular space and gives a particular amount of horsepower and torque, and gives you a particular torque curve which will be able to drive the tank at the speeds needed. Then you need to have a drive line which matches with the final drive and the sprockets, and then you need to have a track which will be able to carry the tank in the various terrains. Now you have to figure out whether it want to be amphibious, non-amphibious. So that again is a weight issue which you come about. So everything which I just said, to even a lay person, is not that complex. The problem is getting the engine of that size to fit in to give you that power. Now that's complex. We've talked about that the other day in our chat. You gave a very nice way of forward in that. Viewers, you may like to go to the Mr. Pradeep Gupta's expert opinion on TOT, and he's told exactly how we can put together a team which will be focused on developing an engine. So he's given out the method in which it can be done, and he's given the historical examples of successes in India. So go to that. But anyway, coming back to what I was just mentioning. So it's not an issue. Platform simulated design is not an issue. We have the brains, we have the computing power, we have the coders, we have the simulators, everybody there within our country, and maybe some of them are better than the best.
Yes.
So that's one thing. So this box is nicely ticked. So then it comes to the other issue, which normally is there for an armored vehicle, is the armament. We all know that. So in the case of, let's say, an infantry combat vehicle, armament will be lesser issue because the turret and the cannon, the recoil system and all that will be much more easily manageable. So for an infantry combat vehicle, it's not, I'm not brushing it aside, but yes, it will be a less of an issue. But that once you've figured out the virtual design of these two, and they are working out in your trials, you can marry them. And then we come to the platform. We have looked at the armament. Then we have the mounted equipment. Now the mounted equipment which is there, especially when it comes to electronics and all that, then weight is no longer an issue. Their performance is an issue. That can be put on a test bed. You put it in a lab and you can check it. So there the trials can be carried out in a lab physically, or virtually also you can do it. So that is a slightly easier thing to handle. So when you put all of this design together, the real thing is its functionality, I would say. So the best part is today you can do the functionality. One point I missed here, and that is the virtual trials. We have, this recently Chat GPT came across, and the large language models came.
Model.
So what is an LLM? LLM is basically a large amount of data which has been collected, and a focused LLM, if you create, it will be able to give you a pretty good idea of the sort of a trial result.
Yes.
Based on your previous trial data, you can pretty good result can be generated. LLM that can be also plugged in. So if we can sort out the platform, we can sort out the armament, then and mounted equipment we can sort out. Then we can come to a pretty good conclusion. Now the thing of simulation, which is actually going to be simulating the working of the components together, is the only area which I would say where we'll have to work on, because that will be fresh work needed, where you're bringing everything together and making it happen. So that I'm not able to confidently say that we have the capability, but I'm very confidently able to say that we can generate this capability in-house without going out of the country within a matter of months, not years. So that means we are ready to do what has been done for the Bradley. And by this guidance which you have given, the experience you have, if more people like you come together, it is highly possible. And once you have selected that, then we can go into the real world team, which we are well aware of over there. Then, of course, while virtually if replacing an engine with another engine will be just easy, in the real world, it becomes a much more complex thing. You have to sort out how to marry it to the hull. You have to get at the mounting. You get all the systems in place. Everything has to function. And then, you have to take it out. You have to do a pre-run. It's a big process then. And that's why it takes time. Suggested to you about this virtual world development team. If you could just, with all your knowledge, the question which I'm putting to you is, who are the people who should come together in such a team, let's say, to be able to reach a conclusion about a design, which is actually, let's say about, I would say a percentile basis, about 70% accurate. That means 70% chance of it going through when it is converted into prototype. Below that, I think it will be not okay. So it's a little tough question to put to you, but with your with your following your subject and your large experience, could you do that, or anything else you want to say? Yes, Mr. Gupta, please.
Yeah, thank you, General. So regarding the team formation, as I mentioned because the areas, domains where you need to have some expertise or some knowledge is certainly the mathematics, the simulation knowledge. So certainly I don't expect that the users will be a simulation expert. That there are a lot of brilliant armed forces officers I've seen who have deep knowledge of it. They have developed over the courses or interaction in the technical institutes where they are doing PG or PhD, etc. So we can certainly tap them. They are the bright spots for us. Otherwise, we have to develop this. That's why I tell everybody that we must have a breed of defense technologists. Like you go to automobile engineers are there, civil engineers are there. We must have defense technologists and who have the insights and the intricacies, the rigidness of the specifications, the trials. That is not applicable to usually to the civilian domain for any passenger car for that matter. But if the same person's team is put to manufacture or design a armored fighting vehicle, they have to follow very stringent guidelines. So this is the thought process change between the defense technologies and an automobile engineer. So that is certainly must happen. So this is one part where the simulation experts, either in the armed forces or outside the armed forces, have to be available. Then we must have the metallurgists, because a lot of metallurgy is involved in it. And it is where we have to decide that certainly 100% equipment, like engine designing also you do, transmission designing also you do, air conditioning designing also you do. It will be very, very massive. So we have to take a call that up to what end we'll do, and say the engine will be outsourced, maybe from world's best engine manufacturers or whatever is available in India. That's a call which we have to take. The entire team has to sit and decide. Yes, if Kirloskar engine maximum है, जो benchmark है, because that is available, the best engine. There are a few other companies too By the way, the Caterpillar design system in Chennai is making the best designs, but then those are not manufactured in India. They are shipped to all over world to the manufacturing plants. So we have to see whether the domestic capability engine will be sufficient for us, or we have to go outside. That is where, or we have certain give and take with that. That is one part. Similarly, for the transmission, like Allison, and there are so many good because transmission makes noise. So we have to see which transmission. There are companies in India making it. Original designs are not there. Lot of in due course have happened in the TOTs being obtained by the manufacturers, either in civilian sector or the defense sector. With the ready available systems, we are in the country, or so this is where we have to take a call that these are the components which we will not simulate. Ready designs will incorporate in it. So this way we decide, and depending on that, we'll incorporate the experts. Certainly the users. Now, when you use the digital technology, and especially when I am mentioning about the VR tools and immersive technologies, everybody cannot appreciate the immersive technology. They may may seem to them like some black box of thing. So we must have the appropriate officers who will, like you see the goggles you put in front of your eyes, and then this entire thing is being simulated in that atmosphere. So the person must understand. So we must choose the experts on the users who can very well understand. Once things are finalized, then you can go to the top persons that, sir, this is the way we, and then we can do it in the screen also in two dimensions to just to show it to them, like how it will look like. But then entire trials, etc., are done virtually by immersing in the thing. As I mentioned, that the users are certainly there. The various components like metallurgists, which should be there. We must have engine experts. We must have transmission experts. We must have the producing, because certain things you may design, but then it is very difficult to produce. With the present capabilities we have in the country, when you are targeting only to go for indigenous manufacture, so we have to also factor in the indigenous capability of the manufacturing sector, and then come up with this all this entire team. I am pretty sure that the entire, what you mentioned, that in bits and pieces, entire thing is available. We have to stitch together the this entire ecosystem and come up. If you see in the Rheinmetall or General Dynamics, they must be having hundreds of Indian engineers. So Indians are there, they are helping them. They can very well do here regarding the capability. Individually, we are the best, I would say, especially in the fields of AI, quantum computing, in the simulation, etc., etc. Almost all the academic institutions, if you see DRDO also, they have a lot of knowledge. So they can go ahead with this thing. Team will certainly be having right from the this level of the what level I mentioned, like metallurgy or the engine design, or this level up to the user. So once the equipment is put to trial, there is one I am visualizing. Yesterday I attended a class for generative AI. So I was just thinking that when I share this thoughts with you today, I I can foresee that in times to come, once this entire exercise of designing digital designing of AFB is done, then we can use the generative AI to design, because a lot of groundwork is already done, data is generated. We can put to use the generative AI to design a better equipment maybe down the years. So this is where I can think of doing, especially for this this thing. Yes, certainly simulation experts are to be incorporated. So if you see, I'm very confident that India has the capability, and this is a low-hanging fruit for us to proceed in the direction of designing. What you rightly posed a question, when you have bits and pieces, how to put the system together. That should not be a very complex thing, because some effort certainly will be required, some visualization will be required, and I'm very confident that with the kind of capabilities we have, we'll cross that bridge. Only thing we have to sit now. How it is to be done? Either you constitute a national mission for digital twin design system, or you ask the private sector or the public sector to come up with that concept, because whatever is the expenditure and the efforts to be made, that sector will make, that industry will make. So it is to be seen. I would say it can be mix and match of both, wherein we can rope the private sector, public sector, and the government organizations, the government support can be facilitating through the import of tools, because certain tools are required. There are ready-made tools like Siemens have. Siemens has digital twin simulation tools, several of them readily available. They have hybrid modeling tools available. They have fluid dynamics, computational fluid dynamics tools available. So I don't say that will be actually be fit here, but then if we search the domain, we can find it out. And of course, nobody will tell you, but then we can sense that these big companies are using these tools, and because they will not reinvent the wheel. If the tool is available, they will certainly, when they can make use of it, I can also make use of it. So only thing, somebody has to pay the cost for that. So one way is that you develop the tool yourself, but then when it is available commercially, I can use that tool for myself. And then subsequently, when the frequent users of tool is there, some startup or somebody will come to develop the tool also for us. So this is the way I can see. It's not a very simplistic exercise. It's a very complex. I shared with you my bird eye view, what I gather from my very little knowledge in the system, which I have seen. And I thought that this is the right way, or maybe the easiest way for India to catch up the race of designing their own conventional weapons. I had been also telling that when the team is formed, put the user as the in charge of the team. So anything where plus minus is to be done, if user is not the in charge of the team, then they will be going to user will say yes, no. When the user is in charge, say a 3-star officer, very well versed with the area like operational capabilities, he will take a decision. Yes, this is acceptable, and that's chapter closed. Nobody will question that, and then the entire team start working. So it's an empowered group of sort of thing. So quickly we do, and that team has to. I mean, there has to be a core committee which is empowered to take decision on the deviations or the considerations what we'll be doing with the design. So this is what I just shared my word of view about things.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gupta. And you're right, stitching together a team, bringing all the expertise in one place, leadership to be properly created. So many points you have given, and what you have suggested, it seems practical to me. It is doable. So that's a very happy thought. And you have given a thumbs up to it also, saying that this can be done with our country.
Yes.
So that's very heartening, because you have been researching, and specifically I would like to thank you for delving so deeply into the article itself, and then drawing out your thoughts and presenting them like this. You have said that you are looking at it fresh and for the first time, maybe in this manner. So it may not be a completely mature thought, but that doesn't matter. It certainly will be useful to some viewer who is looking into this, and we could follow this up with further discussions as we ourselves become clearer. But this is an area which is of deep interest to you, I know, and I'm hoping to hear you again on it as you yourself are able to think through better models. In fact, maybe we could have a discussion on a model as to how we
Yes.
can bring it together, that you could be the person who could guide us and our viewers. And I would thank you also on behalf of the viewers for putting in so much effort. I just shared that article with you and requested you for a talk because I knew you are an expert in this. and your expertise is now for everybody to see. So, viewers, with that, we thank you for joining us, and the link to Mr. Pradeep Gupta's LinkedIn profile as well as his think tank are there in the show notes below. You are welcome to contact him. He will be happy to help you, and also he is mentoring startups. So, he is really doing a lot of work, I know, and we salute him for that. And viewers, you're welcome to subscribe to our channel if you feel this content is useful to you. We hope to bring you back in future with us with more such discussions. This platform is essentially for MRO professionals of all hues, civil, from defense, everywhere. And you're welcome to be a part of us. Drop in a message if you want to join, and we will send you an invitation. And once again, thanking Mr. Gupta and thanking the viewers for being with us today. I bring this particular discussion to a close. Thank you very much all. Jai Hind.